Welcome, wrestling fans, to another edition of So Says Shernoff, your number one source for wrestling news delivered with all the accuracy of a referee calling Penta's Royal Rumble elimination. I'm Josh Shernoff, and I am still riding high from my Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl. Not high enough to buy an Eagles championship belt, but pretty damn excited nonetheless. But enough about Kansas City's crushing defeat. We're here to talk some wrestling. So let's dive in to this month's headlines. First up, because apparently we live in the darkest timeline, a fan decided to celebrate Jey Uso's incredible Royal Rumble victory by creating an AI video of themselves kissing him. That's right. Our man Jey starts the month by making history as the 2025 Royal Rumble winner, and this is how the internet responds. Now, I know parasocial relationships with wrestlers aren't new. We've all seen those weird tweets and social handles like @Rhea_wife. But we're really crossing a line here, folks. It's one thing to fantasy book yourself into the bloodline. It's another thing to digitally manipulate wrestlers into intimate situations. This isn't just crossing a line, it's jumping over the top rope, running through the crowd out the arena, and crossing several county lines. So maybe let's keep the fan interaction to yeeting instead of whatever this digital disaster is. And for the love of all things holy, keep AI away from wrestling Twitter. We've got enough problems with regular Twitter as it is. Speaking of social media posts, friend of the show and wrestling legend Ernest the Cat Miller caught up with his old WCW colleague Rey Mysterio and posted a photo of the two together. And you know, call me nostalgic, but it's just so nice to see longtime friends reuniting after all these years and just taking a nice picture together. Let's take a look at that photo. Nope, that's not good. Wow. Okay, so that's certainly a position. There's the cat with an unmasked Rey Mysterio and what I can only describe as, you know what, I'm not going to describe it. Instead, I'll just look for some context in the caption. Quote, "Got me a little Rey Mysterio puppy, no diddy." I mean, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, this one's worth at least a therapy session. It's like someone Googled wrestling match and accidentally got the thumbnail for a very specific category on a certain adult website. But, you know, somehow this masterpiece of a post flew completely under the radar. While everyone was busy with AI videos and Royal Rumble debates, the cat just casually dropped this photo. And you know what? In these trying times of wrestling social media, maybe this is exactly what we needed. Two legends reminding us that sometimes the best moments in wrestling are just old friends being creatively expressive together. From a puppy to a dog. Road Dogg Brian James is returning as co-lead writer of SmackDown, and wrestling Twitter is handling it with all the calm and rationality of a cat in a bubble bath. Not the cat in a bubble bath. Ernest, these are not suggestions for future posts. Anyway, every comment section is filled with people bringing up Road Dogg's previous run, like they're reading from their diary of wrestling grudges. Remember that one show? Remember that storyline? We get it. His last run wasn't exactly setting the world on fire, but here's the thing. Maybe we need to pump the brakes on the hate train for a minute. AJ Styles, who actually worked with Road Dogg all across this flat earth, dropped some interesting context on Twitter. According to the Phenomenal One, Road Dogg's ideas were, quote, picked apart to the point that it was no longer his ideas anymore. And you know what? That tracks perfectly. We're talking about the Vince McMahon era, where creative meetings probably consisted of writing a script, watching it get torn up because somebody sneezed, rewriting it, having it approved, then having it completely changed again 5 minutes before showtime because Vince ate a bad cow. Look, his DX buddies Triple H and Shawn Michaels are absolutely killing it with Raw and NXT right now. And isn't it at least possible that Road Dogg, free from having his ideas picked apart, might actually have something to offer? For all we know, he's been sitting on a folder labeled "Actually Good Ideas" this whole time, just waiting for the chance to use them without 17 rewrites and a random 2 a.m. phone call changing everything. So maybe, just maybe, we give the DOGG a chance, at least until we see what he can actually do without, let's call it, excessive editorial oversight. Sidebar, he wasn't the creative behind Voodoo Kin Mafia, was he? Because that could be cause for some concern. And finally, speaking of VKM, the aforementioned excessive editor, Vince McMahon, Vince was spotted at the Super Bowl alongside The Undertaker. And folks, we need to talk about a few things here. First off, Taker was wearing what I can only describe as a hat that looks like it was designed by someone who'd heard about hats, but had never actually seen one. But more importantly, Vince McMahon appears to have discovered a revolutionary anti-aging technique called looking his actual age. That's right, the mustache is gone, the hair dye has been dialed back, and the facial fillers appear to have left the chat. It's like he finally realized that looking like a 79-year-old man is better than looking like a Madame Tussauds wax figure left out in the sun. Now, predictably, wrestling Twitter had a meltdown about Taker being there with Vince, leading to the dead man giving what might be the most uncomfortable interview of his career.
Were you at the Super Bowl with Vince?
I was his guest. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm going to get hate for that. Listen, there's only, I don't know. People think, oh, you guys are so close, you know everything. I don't know what has been done, what hasn't been done. We don't talk about those things, right? But he is a friend of mine.
Of course.
So I don't know everything that's happened, what's gone on, and I'm not the judge, right? On this case, I'm not the judge.
You could practically hear him choosing each word like he was defusing a bomb. If you took a drink every time Taker said, "I don't know," you too would be a dead man. And then came the classic, "We don't talk about those things" line, which is wrestling's version of "I plead the fifth, brother." Though I have to say, watching The Undertaker, the man who spent 30 years throwing people off steel cages and burying them alive, trying to carefully navigate modern social media discourse, is a special kind of surreal. It's like watching Godzilla try to explain why he's still hanging out with that one problematic kaiju who keeps destroying cities. But hey, at least the hat was entertaining. I mean, when the least controversial thing about your Super Bowl appearance is headwear that looks like you're about to lead a haunted safari through the Australian outback, you know we're living in interesting times. And that is Headlines. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Our main topic tonight is size. And before you close your browser, I promise this isn't another one of those spam emails promising to expand your wrestling potential in just 3 easy payments. Though I have to say those ads are getting oddly specific with their targeting lately. No, tonight we're discussing a growing controversy that has fans hot and bothered, a controversy about length and width, about satisfaction and performance, about whether 18 inches is really enough to get the job done. I'm talking, of course, about AEW's ring size down under. And yes, that pun was absolutely intended. The controversy erupted at Grand Slam Australia when fans noticed AEW's ring was noticeably smaller than usual. And let me tell you, Twitter immediately lit up with size queens complaining about AEW's performance issues. "It's too small," they cried. "How can anyone work in these conditions?" they said. "I've seen bigger rings at a backyard show." But let's get technical for a moment. According to Fightful Select, AEW's standard ring is a girthy 20 by 20. In Australia, They went with a more modest 18 by 18. Now, some fans were spreading rumors it was actually a tiny 16 by 16, but folks, that's just ring shaming. AEW has assured fans this was a completely normal size for international shows. They claim the 20 by 20 never travels overseas. Apparently, it's afraid of flying. And hey, TNA uses an 18 by 18 ring all the time, and I don't remember anyone complaining about the ring size at WrestleMania 3. Now, some experts argue it's not the size of the ring that matters, but how you use it. They point to legendary matches and smaller rings, but others insist you need that extra space for proper movement. As one anonymous wrestler put it, sometimes you just need those extra 2 inches to really make the magic happen. Sources say that Tony Khan has been particularly sensitive about the size discourse, insisting that 18 by 18 is perfectly average and that many promotions actually prefer this more manageable size. The source, who wished to remain anonymous, added that Khan kept muttering something about the ring looking bigger in person and how Australian weather affects structural integrity. And look, I know we've thoroughly covered this topic, but much like AEW's ring size, I feel this segment needs a little more length, so let's dive deeper into the historical implications of ring dimensions. Did you know that all over the world, many promotions traditionally use smaller rings than WWE and AEW's TV rings? That's right. It's not about the size of your ring, but the skill of your roster. Although it's worth noting that some rings are known for being significantly stiffer, make of that what you will. We've reached out to several indie promotions about their ring sizes, but most seemed oddly defensive about the topic. One promoter who runs shows in his backyard insisted his 14 by 14 ring was actually pretty big for a private venue, and that many wrestlers prefer the intimacy of a smaller ring. Speaking of intimate venues, let's address the real victim here, the ring crew. Think about it. These unsung heroes have to adjust their technique for different ring sizes all the time. One day, you're setting up a 20 by 20. The next day, you're working with 18 by 18. And sometimes you show up and the promoter's like, sorry boys, we're working with a 16 by 16 today. That's the kind of size uncertainty that can really mess with a crew's confidence. You know what, I think we've stretched this topic about as far as it can go, but remember, whether you're watching wrestling in a 20 by 20, 18 by 18, or even a 16 by 16, what really matters is the story being told in the ring. Though, let's be honest, a few extra inches never hurt anybody's work rate. And hey, if you thought this segment went too long, just remember, sometimes it's not about the length of the content, but how you use it. Though I've been told the sweet spot is usually around 3 minutes. Well, that's our show, folks. If you've enjoyed my patented sarcasm and innuendos, you can follow me through the hellscape that is social media at So Says Shernoff. And hey, while you're clicking things, subscribe to my YouTube channel at So Says Shernoff for clips and exclusive content. Want more of this nonsense in your life? Check out the weekly Wrestling Hour podcast with myself and Dave Sturcio. And of course, you can catch the show every month on the MyFandom YouTube channel. This has been So Says Shernoff, because that is what Shernoff had to say. See you next time.